Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Downkirk podcast. I'm Ethan Downing.
And I'm Robert Kirkendall III.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll start out with our video of the week, which is, this is a documentary I've been wanting to show you for a little bit now.
All right, cool.
This is the first movie I've ever seen of 2023. It came out like January 7th, 2023. It is, oh wait, let me share my screen first. Share. Share system. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it, yeah.
Okay, let me show you this trailer. I want to get your honest opinion.
All right, for sure.
Okay.
The hitchhiking Hatchet hero. This guy went from this heroic, beautiful person to wanted for murder.
An absolute bizarre scene here in West Fresno. A man plows his car into a PG&E worker, pinning him against his truck.
Two women are trying to help him. He runs up and he grabs one of them, man. So he ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash.
This guy became an internet sensation.
Wow.
Everyone around the world wanted a piece of this kid. How do you know this guy's the internet, man? Is that really you?
How did it make you feel though being this viral sensation?
I'm not a virus. I'm a sensation. I'm God.
Most people that are heroes are not homeless people. There was something funny about him. He's kind of cute and sweet and innocent.
He has such an endearing quality. There's so much charisma.
If you want to say anything else, I want to say no matter what you've done, you deserve
Try for
respect.
president.
Even if you make mistakes, you're proud.
If you're going to glorify someone, you better know who you're glorifying.
Everyone loved this guy.
The Hatchet Wielding Hitchhiker. He's been arrested for allegedly taking the life of a man in New Jersey.
There was no forced entry, but under the computer is a phone number with the name Lawrence Kai. And just stop and think, could he be responsible for something like this?
Part of me wonders what actually happened that day in Fresno. Was this him being the hero or not?
Hitting somebody in the head with a hatchet 3 times, one side or knife, is violent.
When it comes to a certain situation of pressure, you either become a diamond or you get crushed.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell you about this documentary.
Yeah, please do.
Hold on. So
There we go.
So this documentary, this guy was a literal like internet sensation. So what happened was he was riding in the car with this guy. This guy was crazy. He was like deranged. And there was a guy who was like a utility worker who was like standing in the back of like one of those trucks, like unloading stuff in the van. And he plowed right into him, like pinned him in between the car, and then came out. And then like whenever these women were trying to help this dude who's probably never going to walk again, you know what I mean? This black guy who got pinned. He's like, I am Jesus. I am the living Lord. And like, he was like insane off his head. And then these women were trying to help this guy. And then, he like grabbed one of them and started attacking him. And then so Kai got out of the passenger seat. He was in a car, by the way, and took the blunt side of the flat side of his hatchet and smashed him in the head 3 times until he was like laying on the concrete, just with blood coming out. And then the cops came, and then he became like this hero who saved this woman and like saved this black guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he became a big internet sensation, and people were like looking for him on the streets. The people that were in charge of the Kardashian show wanted to have him do his own show with the Kardashians, believe it or not. Like, that's how big he was. And he was on Kimmel. He literally did Kimmel.
Wow.
And he was huge. Come to find out. The amount of, like, so he ran away from home when he was 13.
Wait, hold up. This is spoiler alert territory.
Oh, spoiler alert. Yeah. He ran away from home when he was 13. He's always been like crazy, bipolar, like wanting to do insane things. He's like one of those jackass guys, you know? And, all right, fine. We can leave that one. Okay. Jeez. And, he's like a skater. He's like an alcoholic. He's like, he does a lot of drugs. You know what I mean? You can also tell, you could tell he's like kind of the crazy guy on the street. And he went from home to home. And the thing is that when he was a teenager, and he was only like 19 when that incident happened too. And these older men would like pick him up, and then they would like get him drunk, and then he would get like molested by these like people that were like taking him into their home. And these guys would like have like, wives and children and stuff. And then it happened to multiple times. And it's kind of like, you don't really know if he's like gay or straight either during the documentary. Like, you know what I mean? Like when he's talking about it, it's like,
yeah,
because he keeps putting himself in a situation where it's going to happen. It's not like he seems like he doesn't like it, but he's not avoiding it either. It's like weird. And then,
yeah.
So, and like people think of him as like a guru. Like he's the one to ask for like advice about life and stuff. Like it's so weird. Kai.
Yeah.
And so he was with this band, right? This band that he'd become friends with. And this lead singer was doing the documentary. He was like, yeah, I was friends with Kai. And then he's like talking to Kai, and he's like, yeah, and then, you got to just be peaceful and just be happy with people. And unless some old guy F's you in the A, and then you got to take him out. And he's like, wait, what? Apparently, this old guy took him in and, screwed him and had sex with him. And then to pay back at him, he slipped the old guy acid, and then they're driving the car and he's on acid and he's like freaked out, which explains how crazy he is. And then Kai says, hey, doesn't it feel like a video game? Like this is all a hologram. Like if you drove into that truck, you just go right through him. And that's what he did. He drove into the guy and then he smashed him, and then he got him, and then that guy got convicted of murder. You know what I mean? For vehicular manslaughter, and it was just so funny to be like, you find out that he was the one that caused it to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a one of those stories that's like, you definitely should watch out who you talk to, and who you like put up on a pedestal like that. I mean, that's crazy. There's so much stuff you just hit me with that I'm like trying to process it all at once.
And then, so what happens is later, so he keeps doing this. Now he's like 22 years old. Like he's like been homeless, living on the streets, like skateboarding, getting drunk, getting high. Like,
when did this first incidents happen?
It's like 2014, roughly.
Okay. And it became huge then?
It became huge then, and it became huge for like 2 years after, right? He got a face tattoo. And people would go up to him if they saw him, and they would just give him free stuff. And he would always ask for booze or weed or something like that.
Dude, I love how you're like, I love how you threw in the fact you got a face tattoo. Like that had nothing to, like, I mean, yeah, I know, but like, you're like, well, like people, like 2014, and then like people would come up to, oh, he got a face tattoo. Like, I don't know, it was just a funny aside.
That's kind of crazy, though. That's kind of crazy. I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know. I mean, a face tattoo is crazy, but like let me put it this way.
I think we're moving in the post-Malone era.
Yeah. We're moving into like more of a society to where like it's not the weirdest thing to see somebody with a face tattoo, right? Like it was extremely odd, and then now it's like, I mean, Kai was a celebrity. Like, yeah, he probably like celebrity. I feel like you can only be a musician or a celebrity if you're gonna get a face tattoo and have a job, have like a normal job. Because if I see an accountant with a face tattoo, like no offense to him, but I don't know if I'm gonna trust his advice.
I don't want him to fudge my numbers, you know what I mean? But
hey, I got a guy in the back. He can score you some No, what? You're like, what? I'm trying to sell my house. Why would I need to score math?
Are you a realtor? Are you a real licensed realtor? You just offered me math.
Anyways, please keep going.
No, but it was the funniest part of the documentary when the singer is like, unless some old guy F's you in the air, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, wait, what? Like, and it's he keeps doing this. He keeps banging all these old dudes. And you know what I mean? And keeps like, I don't know. He keeps making himself seem to be like a victim. Like he was drugged and he was dragged. But like at some point, like if it happens like 30 times in a row, you know what I mean? And you keep doing it. And and they even talked about him like having relationships with these guys. You know what I mean? Like him like going back to the home multiple times, like on his own will. Type of thing.
Mean, yeah, I think this is one of those touchy subjects, honestly, because I think it's really like difficult to tell. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think clearly there's something not okay with him, right? I mean, that's pretty. I mean, that's what the documentary is about. That's what the documentary is literally about.
And so he ends up taking out another old guy that effed him. He like ends up just like murdering this guy in his own home after he had sex with him, and like the next day, like a day and a half later after it happened.
Wow.
So it wasn't like a crime of like passion, you know what I mean? It wasn't like right after it happened, you know what I mean? It was like,
well, I mean, they could have. I mean, we don't know the scenario necessarily. I mean, maybe you do because you watched the documentary. But I mean, like the guy could have been like, bend over, Kai, you know? And you're like, no, you know.
His real name's not Kai. It's like something really lame, like Tom or something like that. Like it's like a normal name.
Tom, dude, hold up. I apologize to all the Toms. Tom is a cool name. I think Tom is a cool name.
But it's a normal name. It's not like a cool skater guy name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. But Tom is a cool name. Don't ever disrespect Tom on this podcast again. Tom is a sick name.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
5 hours later.
And we're back. Sorry, technical difficulties. But yeah. No, it was a fun documentary. I liked it. Like,
yeah.
And then he ended up getting a life sentence for it. Yeah. And they talked to his mom. And she was like, there was like a lot. He was like, my mom locked me in my room and put a padlock on the door so I couldn't leave. And he talked about him having like the most abusive, awful childhood ever. His mom was like a normal suburban mom who had to raise a wild monkey of a kid. Like, this kid was like literally like taking appliances apart when she wasn't looking. Was like ripping things. He was like grabbing the banister and just like yanking it like off the, like he was insane.
Yeah.
He was like breaking people's windows. He was like going to neighbors' houses and like stealing stuff like that when he was like 7 years old. And so she's like, I had to put a padlock on the door. He would have destroyed the house. He would have like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't understand. Like,
yeah. Well, I do want to say this though about that. Like, it's really tough to tell who's telling the truth because I mean, he was a child, right? And then also she's the mom, so it's like
it's
so hard to be like
actions,
right? Like, it's always so hard to tell like who's actually, because again, he was a kid, so he could be like completely overblowing it, right? Like, I mean, you're right. The mom could have been totally in the right. But I mean, I don't know if I would ever put a padlock on a child's door, though. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, though. Like, there's reason why she did what she did. It's not like it came out of nowhere. I was gonna say though, dude, I think it's always they should have had him like on Maury, dude. The women on Maury, like the teenage daughters on Maury, are always like the craziest people. I don't know where they find these people, but they're like, I'm gonna sleep with every man. Well, not even just teenage moms. I'm saying sometimes they'll just have teenagers on there. You know what I mean? That got pregnant somehow, right? And they're like, I'm gonna sleep with every man I want. She's like, I've already slept with 100 men today, and I'm gonna sleep with 100 men by the end of the day. You know, and you're like, okay, like I don't like, you know what I mean? You're like, all right. And then they're like, I hate my mom. My mom's the reason why I hate life. You know, and then you're like, and then the mom's like right there watching. She's like, hey mom, how's it going? You know.
Some people are literally like, are you trying to ruin your life out of spite? Like,
yeah.
Are you going to be like, because I had a crappy childhood and my mom wasn't a very good mom, I'm going to be like, my life is going to suck? Is that somehow going to be like getting back at your parents or something?
Well, it's especially weird too, because you think about it and it's like these teenagers, they always like, I don't know, what's weird is that like when you're a teenager, like the way I always look at everything is that I always tell myself like, don't mess up too much. Like you can mess up, but like not too much, you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to like mess up and get like catch I don't know, like a heroin addiction, you know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, you know, like,
well, I also think about that. I thought about that from their perspective. I'm like, man, what if I was raising me? Like, you know what I mean? If I was raising me, I wouldn't want me to be a heroin addict. I wouldn't want me to get a girl pregnant when I was like 16. I wouldn't want me to like, you know what I mean? Like from their perspective, it's like, man, I put in all this work to raise a loser. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want them to feel that, you know? Like,
well, to clarify, I don't think somebody who gets their girlfriend pregnant is necessarily a loser at 16. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. You're saying like
they made a big mistake.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily a mistake. I wouldn't say a mistake. I mean, you forget my mom was pregnant with me at 17. My mom was pregnant with me at 17.
She didn't try to do it. She didn't like, let's get pregnant at 17. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess what I mean is
that's something anyone tries to do when they're still
yeah. Well, there was a girl that I talked to in high school that I almost dated that had like baby fever.
She wanted to get pregnant while she was still in high school?
Dude, and it was funny though too because like she was like, hey, will you like impregnate me, right? Like that was like her big thing. She would like ask guys like after she talked to him for like a while. And, you know, I was like, what? Like, you know, like it kind of threw me off at first. And then like I come to find out, like me and her quit talking. And then she asked this other guy, right? Like, hey, would you impregnate me? Right. And dude, she just asked a bunch of guys to like give her a baby. And I was like, God, dude, that's crazy. I mean, like how
it's like, especially if you don't have a place to live, you don't have any way to support. Like you're just asking your mom to like raise like you another sibling at that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like your mom's going to do all the work. Like she's going to raise her grandbaby for you.
Well, I do think, I mean, because she was 17. I mean, my mom raised me. My grandma didn't raise me at all. I mean, my mom obviously didn't watch me.
In a lot of scenarios, I'm not saying a lot in every scenario, but in a lot of scenarios, the grandparent who's like in their 30s or 40s, ends up doing a lot for the for the baby.
30s or 40s, yeah. I mean, no, for sure. I know. I mean, I totally agree. I'm not discounting that.
My grandma was a grandma at 40. Like that was when she became a grandma because she got married when she was 17, and then she had kids when she was 17 to my grandfather who was like 21 or something.
Yeah.
And my uncle, who is her oldest, got married and had kids when he was 20. Or he got married at 20 and then had kids like a year or two later. So it would have been like 40. She was like right at 40.
Wow.
My cousin
was
born.
That's like crazy. Although I was going to say, you know, the craziest, that's like the craziest story I know somebody told me firsthand. But dude, there's like on record, like, and you can look it up if you don't, because I know you're not going to believe me when I tell you this. Do you know the youngest mom ever?
Dude, it's got to be like crazy young. It's got to be like 10 or something insane.
It's like 7. It's like 7 or I want to say 5, but I think it's 7. I think it's 7.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be super wrong with this, but can't a woman not have children until after she's had her first period?
Yeah. Like, no. I mean, like
your eggs aren't like.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But like for some reason, I'm saying like she was a huge like this. I mean, it was a huge deal. Like I'm saying like the family.
No way.
You know what's really sad too about it?
That'd be a fun story.
Yeah, you should look it up. Well, I mean, no, dude, it's crazy too though because like she refused to have like interviews and stuff, and there's only like a few actual like times she ever got like examined by a doctor because her family was like really like they didn't want to be in the spotlight at all. I mean, like it's kind of obvious why, right? Like, how did a 5-year-old get pregnant or a 7-year-old get pregnant? Like, that's an issue.
All right, so there's actually a woman. I shouldn't say a woman. There's a girl who became a mother 5 years, 7 months, and 21 days old.
Yeah. So I thought it was 5.
1939.
Isn't that crazy?
Man, can you imagine your mom's 5 years older than you? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you go to college together. You know what I mean? You go to like the clubs together and stuff. You like date the same guys. It's like 5. It's only like 5 years apart. It's so funny.
Wow, that is That's so weird to even think. You know, they actually said that they grew up like siblings, if I remember correctly.
I mean, you would, because it's just such a. I mean, you would. I mean, like a
5 years.
Because I mean, let's say the baby is 3 years old. You're 8. You know what I mean? An 8-year-old doesn't have a lot of like dominion over like a 3-year-old. The 3-year-old can still be like, "You're a kid too."
Dude,
like, you know what I mean?
do you remember when I told you that? This is like one of those facts that's like so sad. It's like, do you remember when I told you like there were a bunch of celebrities who were like giving when they lost their virginity, and like Sean Connery said 8, and someone, and I think I can't remember who was doing that. but me and somebody else, when I told them that, they're like, "No, you didn't. You got molested. You didn't lose your virginity. Like that's not.
It's not like you banged a chick when you were 8. Like, you know what I mean?
Like that's not. You mean no? I'm sorry, Sean. You mean you were molested at 8? You know, like there's no way he lost his virginity at 8, dude.
There's a really funny moment. There's a really funny moment like that in The Girl Next Door. You ever see that movie?
Yeah, I have.
Remember that scene when they had the 2 porn stars in the video? It was like one of those instructional videos, right? And they had the porn stars.
Yeah.
They were both talking about sex, and the girl was like, "I lost my virginity at 16. When did you lose it, Kim?" And she's like, "When I was 10." And they're like, okay then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess we're just gonna... It was one of those things where it was like, oh, all right, like...
Dude, that movie's underrated, by the way.
I love that movie. I love that movie.
Dude, I remember that movie. Like, I remember watching it when I was younger, and I remember, I don't know, I just remember how cool it was. Like, how she's like the girl next door. And I know that's like obviously like the phrase, like, oh yeah, the girl next door. But I like how like it just like, I love movies where somebody gets like, they meet somebody or they find something. Like a piece of paper, or they meet a person like next door, like your neighbor. And they fall down this rabbit hole of like this whole nother world that they never imagined. I don't know. I just love that idea, that story, like that whole like storytelling style, you know?
Well, the ironic part of it is that the term "girl next door" refers to a girl who's like a girl that you know, a girl that you've known in childhood, that you've like grown up with.
Yeah.
That's very, very. It emphasizes that she's very innocent and she's very like naive. Whereas like the girl next door in this movie was like a porn star. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know if I think even though she was a literal girl that literally lived next door, I don't think that the term like, oh, girl next door type of girl like really applies to her. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. What I meant was that's where they got the name of the movie. That was like off the phrase. And you're right, it's probably like an ironic turn. I just meant like it's not like they created this whole like, because I'm saying people will say the girl next door all the time, right? Like they'll say that phrase, but I meant it doesn't come from that movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, it existed before the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes movies come up with phrases of their own that like become big, but I'm saying that movie did not do that. So that's why I was just trying to emphasize that.
I didn't realize that yada 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 came from Seinfeld. Did you know that? I thought that was a phrase that existed way before that. You know what I mean?
Yada yada yada.
Have you heard that phrase before?
Use in a sentence.
Like, me and John went to the store, yada yada yada. We ended up at Walmart. You know, it's like
no way,
you know,
really? Really, it came from Seinfeld?
That came from Seinfeld. You know
wow, wow.
Like where you like kind of skip over the middle part of the story,
yeah,
and then you end up that. I thought that existed on its own.
That's crazy.
50 years ago.
Well,
that actually,
dude, it kind of reminds me though of how like Charlie Brown, when people go like womp 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 womp, like that's clearly from Charlie Brown. Yeah, but people, when people like say like womp 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 womp, you know, they just kept talking. I'm saying, but that comes from Charlie Brown, which I think is so cool because that's my favorite part of Charlie Brown.
Yeah, it's funny. It's so funny and the thing was created by adults. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, and all the adults are like, let's not give the adults a single line. I don't even want to see them. I don't want to see their disgusting faces on the screen for even 1 second. They literally had scenes where they showed them in the station wagon. I'm like, who's driving? Like, they're just showing the back of the, you know what I mean? They're showing the back of the station wagon. Yeah. And I'm like, what? And sometimes they would show a silhouette. You'd see like a black, like Head and Shoulders, like but it wouldn't be doing anything. It'd be in the front,
dude.
Like, is that
here's a good question, dude. Is the Charlie Brown specials, are those movies?
The Charlie Brown specials? No, I wouldn't consider them movies because they're
over. So some of them are over 40. Go ahead.
I don't think they are. A lot of them, if you look at them, are only like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The Christmas one is only 25 minutes. The Thanksgiving one's only like 25. I think the Halloween one is like 35. I think that one, they did a little bit longer for that one. Easter is about 30 as well. So none of them break the 45-minute mark.
I feel like there's got to be one that's 45 minutes at least.
So here's how I define a movie when it comes to specials. So I in my criteria of my movie list, I define a TV special or a movie special to be like a known movie as long as it's not a part of a continuing series. So like, because this happens a lot. This happens in Survivor every season. The last episode is an hour and a half long. But I wouldn't consider the last episode of each season to be a movie because it's a part of a continuing story.
Well, wait,
series,
hold up.
You know?
But you would count the Simpsons movie, right? And I feel like that's because, and no, here's
it's
what I want to
full
point out.
theatrical release. You know, it's separate.
Well, I also feel like that's what I was about to say. The Survivor special at the end of every season is just 2 episodes, right? Like it's just 2 big episodes. Yeah, it's just a double episode, and I mean, like, there's no actual idea that that's not part of the season. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. So you would never. So, but if Survivor came out with a special that said, "Hey, this is a completely separate Survivor the movie, and it had like no people from the other existing seasons. Like it just had its own original group of people in it, and it was like a one-off, and then they went right back to the, like, let's say it was like seasons 6, 7, 8 movie, season 9. Yeah, then I might consider that movie to be separate. You know what I mean?
Dude, Survivor needs to get onto the big screen. I want to make that happen. I want to talk to whoever's running Survivor. Cool. Mark Burnett, who I think runs CBS right now. He's the creator of Survivor. I think he's actually the
executive producer on all the early seasons.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, dude, I'm gonna hit him up, and we're gonna be like, dude, let's make a Survivor movie, and he'd be like, it'll have to be like 6 hours, and I'd be like, yeah, so, dude imagine if Survivor movie.
If I was a owner of a theater, I would try to get the reels for like a whole season of Survivor. I'd be like, hey, every Thursday, Survivor season 6 episode.
Also,
1,
I do want to say this though.
Season 6 episode
I do
2.
think if the finale of Survivor were shown in theaters, I think it could count as a movie. Do you get what I'm saying? I think it's so dependent upon the way that, and this is what I think is really big, is how they market it and how they themselves view this piece of media. Do you know what I'm saying? If they called it Survivor the movie and it was a first season finale, but it was season 1 finale, but they call it Survivor the movie, then it's a movie. Do you get what I'm saying?
You can't just make it, if it's shown in a theater, it's a movie though, because adult films are shown in movies. They're in movie theaters. You know what I mean?
Some of those are movies. I mean, by your definition.
No, I wouldn't consider. I don't consider porn to be a movie.
What I mean is, then there's like a really borderline there, because I mean, you get Eyes Wide Shut had a lot of nudity in it.
All right, the thing is though,
I love how you're like, all right, well, here, listen up, all right,
because from what I've researched, when a movie is that long, an adult movie, you realize that the production quality that went into it, and like the locations that they're shooting at, even a like a 2 hour long, sometimes, like, which I don't know who could ever do that from start to finish, but like film is usually all shot inside of a week, sometimes inside of a day. You know what I mean? And it's set up a camera and F in front of the camera. That's it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, I do want to say the parameters by which you're defining them aren't necessarily fair, because there are movies. I've told you about that movie that was shot in one day. Like they shot the whole movie shot in an hour and a half. Now,
that is true. It's is that the one shot movie?
The one shot movie. Yeah. Oh, so what I mean is that like, is fair. You know, what I just mean, like, that's not a fair parameter. I think really what here's how I would define it. But because
it's the purpose of
the film. One is that you're supposed to watch it from beginning to end. Like you know what I mean? Whereas I think with pornography, you could jump in at any time and get what you need. You know what I mean? It's not nobody would be like, why don't you watch it from the beginning? Like, you need to watch it from the beginning. You know what I mean? Nobody would be upset, because that's not the purpose of it. You know? And I think, like, for me, one of the big things that I do count for movies is, again, like I said, the way that the people who make the media themselves position it. If they say, hey, look, this is, and that's why I think, like, if you looked at like older, like much older, like 70s, right, when pornography became big, there's some of those where you're like, well, that is vaguely a movie, because they have some semblance of movie to them, but like the newer stuff they're not even pretending to be movies.
Well, me and you talked about that too. Like, if there's like an art house film that's rated X and it's an hour and a half long, and there's a 3-minute sex scene, but that 3-minute sex scene is like a full, like, you know what I mean? They show everything.
Yeah.
And I would say for that 3 minutes, if you clip that out, that would be porn. But like the whole movie in and of itself, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And I think
the line gets kind of blurry.
I think it's just how the way that they position it. Because I think anybody who makes porn would say, like, yeah, I make adult films, but they by no means would they put their film up there with like Taxi Driver or like The Godfather. You know what I mean? Like they're not disillusioned about what they're doing. You know what I mean?
And some people consider miniseries to be, which don't really exist anymore, to be movies.
Yeah, to me, here's how I feel about that. I think you also can count them as movies. Yeah, I think you can count them as movies. Personally, I think, I don't know, some of those distinctions I don't care about, like in the sense that like for my favorite movies ever. Yeah, but for like my favorite movie ever, or my top 10, I have Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, but really it's because I love the series. And so, like, if you ask me movie wise and you force me to pick a movie, I would say Twin Peaks, that specific movie that they released, right? But if you ask me, like, if I put it on a list, I just put Twin Peaks, the whole series, because because it's a movie, but it also has a whole
media
series
in general.
Well, no, I'm saying I'd put it on my movie list because the thing is what I'm saying is what makes that movie so special is the whole series, right? It's the same way with The Simpsons. Nobody believes that The Simpsons movie is the greatest, like would even put it in their favorites without the TV show. You know what I mean? I'm saying it's the TV show added with the movie.
I don't know if you knew this, but I didn't watch a single minute of The Simpsons before I watched the movie.
Really?
The first
I didn't know that.
thing I ever saw of The Simpsons was The Simpsons movie, and I loved it. And
yeah.
you know what I mean?
No, I'm not saying
it's
you
on
wouldn't
my
love
top
it.
100 comments.
Really? I'm not saying you wouldn't love it. I'm saying you don't love it the same, though, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like after watching The Simpsons,
I get having,
I think you can agree.
Having a backstory helps.
Yeah. I just mean like,
rapport.
yeah, I think it just makes it better. You know what I mean? It's kind of similar to like, it's okay. It's like this. If you watch Rocky IV, it's a really good movie, right? You enjoy Rocky IV. It's a fun, cheesy action movie. But if you watch Rocky 1 through 4, 4 is looking a whole lot better. You know what I mean? 4 is looking, 4 is even better than it was before. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I feel. It's like I can't take myself out of. That's why also I have Star Wars. I have the first 6. I have to keep them in series, like because in my mind, I can't just pick one. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Like, I mean, if you force me to, like, if you had a gun on me, I've already done that, and I could tell you which one. Episode 3, by the way. But I'm saying I appreciate it as a whole saga, though, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate it 1 through 6. That's how I like watching it.
I would just like to say, for the record, I also watched Rocky IV first before I watched any other. And I loved it. It's still my favorite. I'm not trying to like make that a thing.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So, I mean, I get what you mean. Like when they show, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, but when they show Apollo getting beaten to death in Rocky IV, it is kind of like it's more meaningful when you know, like, oh man, these guys faced off each other in the first 2 movies, and they had they had a friendship going that lasted a lot longer.
No,
that
absolutely,
helps.
and that's what I mean. Well, here's the thing, though. I always tell people this too, because I see movies out of order all the time. Like, I wanted to watch, like, somebody was like, "Oh, I've never seen any of." I've never seen any of like. I want to say like, okay, it was Demon Slayer, I think, and I was like, yeah, I've never seen any of it either, but they released a movie recently, and I really want to see it. And they're like, well, don't you want to see the show first? And I was like, here's the thing. Here's what I believe. If the movie or the show is really that good, it's going to be good with or without me knowing that it's that good. Right? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be good. If I go watch anything in it, it should be good enough to where I'm saying this is good. I may not love it as much as I would if I watched a show, right? And I may go back and watch it and I may love it more, but I'm saying it should at least hold its own. Right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, it should at least hold its own.
The only problem with that is how they make it. Because a lot of criticisms that the Downton Abbey movie got is that if you did not watch like the whole series, there was stuff that happened in the movie that was not explained at all. You would never understand why characters were doing certain things if you hadn't watched the series. So if they make it in that way, where it is like kind of dependent more upon the series than others, then you can see.
Well, I'm just saying though that then in my opinion that movie wouldn't have been good, right? Like, I'm saying I think like the way. I'm saying if I pop in episode 5 of the last season of Breaking Bad, which is considered the greatest episode of TV ever. It's Osamayo. Do you remember that one?
Are you talking the last episode of Breaking Bad?
No. It's episode 5. It's a really famous episode. It's before everything goes down.
Of which season? The 5th?
Of the last season.
Episode 5. Well, I've seen the whole series. So
yeah. Anyways, it's considered the best episode. But what I'm saying is if you pop that in, right, and I watch it, and I forget about all the story, I'll know it's a good episode, even if I don't understand why it's a good episode, right? Because I'm saying it's really good at what it does. I may not get all the backstory, and I may not understand it all, but I would understand enough to know this is really good, And that's what I feel about, like, I remember when I watched Star Wars, I watched all of Star Wars out of order. I had no idea, like, literally, it's so funny to even think this. I had no idea why, like, it was such a big deal that Anakin, like, the line, Luke, I am your father, like, why that was such a big deal, because I hadn't watched them in order. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, of course Anakin's his father. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, because I'd watched them so out of order. And I don't mean like 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. I mean, like, I watched them, like, I watched 5 and then I'd watch like 3 and then, you know what I mean? And it was just so weird to me how, like, none of that stuff mattered to me in the same way. You know what I mean? But it's still a great movie. Yeah, no, I mean, I have watched them in order, but I'm saying whenever I first watched them, like as a kid, because you can't always control things. Yeah, and I mean, I would agree with you. I like watching things in order, Like, imagine if you watched Lord of the Rings out of order. It definitely. You
start with Frodo destroying the ring, and then you're like, all right, what are we doing now? Because the whole thing is about them destroying the ring.
Yeah.
Spoiler
or the
alert,
Hobbit.
Destroy the ring.
Dude, speaking of that, dude, what was your favorite, like, if you had to rank all 6 Lord of the Rings movies? Where'd you rank them?
I mean, I liked them, but I'm not a huge... My thing is that I can't bring myself to get into fantasy. I don't know what it is.
Really?
It's like, I just feel like a loser whenever I talk. Like, it's... Okay. All right, so there's this thing. There's this thing that nerds get into, right? Where, like, they're really into, like, space and, like, the Star Trek, Star Wars, like, the technological, like futuristic type of, like, sci-fi. Yeah. And there's people who are into, like, the Harry Potter, like, the Lord of the Rings, the, like, wizardry and elves and magic and, like, goblins. And there's something about that, the elves and the goblins, and that just seems so much lamer and so much, like, stupider to care about. And there's not really any, like... I'm not saying it is even stupid. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying... I'm just saying, for me, though, in my mind, I just feel like a loser when I talk about works. I just feel like, you know what I mean?
First off, I do want to say, I think that stuff's really cool. Like, I've always loved dragons as a kid. I've always loved dragons. But I totally agree with you, actually. It's not even that I think it's stupider or sillier. The reason I can't get into it is because I know there's no way this exists. Like, it's not like a... That's what I'm saying. It's not like in Star Trek where they're like, well, what if, like, in the future in, like, 2039, you know?
Yeah, because then there is a somewhat of, like, a hypothetical that this could... Like, it's not crazy to think, oh, we could create a ship where 300 people could live and explore on a ship. Like, that's not outside of the realm of possibility.
Yeah. And like, whenever you talk about, like, elves and stuff, I think it's really cool, but I can't buy into it enough. Like, there's not enough of, like, that. The suspension of disbelief only gets me so far before I'm like, okay, what are we doing? What is this?
And
like,
then,
come on.
I don't know. And then everyone cares a lot. This is because my wife, she's a huge Harry Potter fan. My problem is that I can't always bring myself to care about the little things that everyone else cares about. Like, Harry Potter needs to find the Horcrux, because if he doesn't find the Horcrux, he can't destroy Voldemort. I'm like, well, can they just make up another way that they could kill him? Like, you know what I mean? Can't they just make up another reason for why they could kill him? Like, does he have to find this mythical book that opens up on its own? Does he have to find it with, like... And, you know, the thing that kills me about Harry Potter, it's set in modern times. It's set in 2005, 2010. But instead of going on the computer and looking something up, they're like, I'm going to write you a letter with a magical pen. And it's like, you know, this isn't the 1600s, right? Like, you know, like, because remember, like, before he would go to school, like, in the summer, they would always show him and his cousin would be wearing, like, Nike shirts and, like, Adidas, like, shoes. And it's like, dude, you know, like, this is 2004. Like, this is, like, modern day. Like, you don't have, there's no computers in Hogwarts. There's no technology. I think I do want to defend that a little bit. I want to say I think there's that kind of, like, romanticism for the past, you know, that, like, you see, like, there is,
like, for instance, you know, and I like that aspect of it to some extent. I do think it's funny though. You kind of hit on it. We talk about the Horcrux. We're like, oh no, we got to find the Horcrux, and it's like, you just said it, right? Like, you could just make up something else. Now, while I get it, and while I can respect it, right? I can respect what they're doing.
It's more entertaining to myself. Adventure.
Sometimes I think to myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that tells me why this has to be. Like, sometimes there's, like, okay, so for instance, something's ticking down, right? Like, a timer's about to go off. That means something bad's going to happen, right? Like, we just intuitively kind of feel that, or something is about to happen at the end of the timer, right? Do you guys think, if I just put up a timer on screen, you know something is going to happen at the end of the timer. I don't know what it is, good or bad, but something's going to happen. Whereas in Harry Potter, they're like, they have to explain every single thing because it's make believe. Right, so you're like, well, okay, this is how Horcruxes work. This is how, like, there's nothing intuitive to it. And I'm saying because there's nothing intuitive about it, I think it loses a lot of that. Whereas, like, whenever I watch Star Trek, right, and they go to, like, another planet, you're like, yeah, of course they'd have to wear a mask because, you know, just intuitively, I know that, like, the air might not be safe to breathe, right? I'm not asking questions about every single thing they do. Whereas in Harry Potter, I'm always confused about why they do certain things, and they never really explain it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't, and they spend too much time explaining it or too little.
It's like, when they do too little, it's so painfully obvious. They're like, they will be like, well, we needed Sirius Black to come back from the dungeon because Voldemort never prowls at night or something. We're like, why? Why? Like, I don't know. Like, why? Like, can we just sit here and talk about why? Like, that bothers me too. It's a very difficult balancing act of mediums where it's like, it has to be kind of rooted in reality enough.
Yeah.
But then not too, like, way off on its own.
And that's why
as well.
I do want to say that, like, I think Harry Potter as a book probably works much better, and I've heard that. But I feel like a big problem with Harry Potter is that it's so...
And I like Harry Potter, by the way.
Yeah. No, I do too. I enjoy Harry Potter as well. I just feel like there's so many things, though. Like, again, like, do you remember in the third one where they go back in time, right? Do you know that with, like, the necklace? Dude,
whenever you go back in time, it messes everything up.
Here's what I don't get. If Voldemort wins, why can't they just do that again? Like this is the problem. Like you just said, this is the problem with storytelling. I don't mind when people go back in time, right? I really don't. Like, I think sometimes that's really cool. Sometimes they use that really well. The problem is, from the moment you do that, though, everything in the storytelling has changed. You got to quit acting like it's the same story, because it's not. Because you introduce something like that, it's a huge thing.
My thing is the reason why I don't like time travel in movies, or especially not in a movie series, is because when you open that door of time travel, you can't close it. That's a part of the story now.
Well,
and that's my biggest problem with Superman 2. When at the end of the movie, he just Superman zoomed around the Earth.
That's Superman 1, by the way.
Was that 1?
That's Superman. I think it's Superman 1.
Okay. But either way, whenever he did that, and then he killed General Zog, I'm like, all right, so you mean from now on?
Oh, you know what?
Every movie.
I think that's... Okay, so he does it in Superman 1 to save...
Let me finish.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So... from that moment on, in all the rest of the movies, I'm like, just do the loop-de-loop thing. And then the movie doesn't even have to happen. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, kill him when
yeah.
Like, because it's too OP of a thing to have happen. You know, Timeline is the best movie I've ever seen. Explain. You've seen Timeline,
really?
Right? With
with
Paul Walker.
Paul Walker. Yeah, Paul Walker. Yeah.
And Gerard Butler, I think.
Yeah.
So that one explained it really well, and Ray Stevenson, where they were like, they went back in time to medieval times, and instead of like changing history, they actually like fulfilled history. Like you know what I mean? Like they went back in time to I don't know, let's say like 150 AD or something, and they're like, man, fire. Well, you know, Greek fire doesn't get invented until right around this time, so they probably don't have it. And then they're like, well, I guess we're the ones to create it, and then they created it. And so it's like they fulfilled the history that was already set.
Yeah.
Because the biggest problem with time travel is that you can't go back in time and change something and then go back to the future and have it change. Because if you could go back in time and change it, then in the present, it would already be changed.
No, absolutely. Well, that's actually, they did that in Harry Potter. I want to give Harry Potter, the third one, the benefit of the doubt in that. They did actually have it to where everything had occurred already. Do you remember that? They like set it up to where like there were
where like the rock that hit him in the back of the head was the rock from which is very difficult to do, and they did a decent job with it. But I just don't like when you mess with it. You know?
Yeah. The problem that I have with that movie particularly, not even that movie, the series though, is that the series should have changed significantly after that. Like they just go back to living life as if they didn't go back in time. Yeah, like that wasn't a pot. Like every time they're like, oh no, like something bad might happen. Yeah.
Like why couldn't you save Dumbledore? In the sixth movie.
I'm just so confused about this stuff. Yeah. Like, but also, I think the one, actually, I want to say there's two ways I think you should handle time travel. Kind of like what you're saying with Timeline, or I think you should do it with Back to the Future, where it's just a plot device to get you somewhere, to get you from point A to B. You know what I mean? Like I love Back to the Future, the whole series, because I think it does, it's just kind of like, yeah, time travel works, but we only have it. All right. You know what I mean? It just does a really good job of saying, hey, we're just going back to the 50s because we want to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we also, this is the only time travel machine.
I don't like it though. I don't like it. When
the
thing is that before he left, things were different, and then when he came back, they were different, and so it's like that's what gets me. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense.
No. I know, but I think but it doesn't pretend like it makes sense. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's never like it is what like it's kind of like whenever you watch, let's say Anchorman, right? And that guy is reporting with like 2 cut off arms. Do you remember that?
That's a total gag. That's not. There's nothing
what I'm saying. Yeah.
About that.
No, but what I'm saying though is that like, but sometimes things don't need to make sense, right? To get like, sometimes that's the point. They're just saying, hey, look, we did this to do this. Now move on. And I'm saying, I think Back to the Future shows that in the way that it's such a fun movie. You know what I mean? Like in The Mask, can you explain why Jim Carrey always goes crazy? Like with The Mask, and then sometimes it doesn't work for some people. Like, is that ever explained? Do you remember that?
But the thing is that's a zany, wild comedy, whereas Back to the Future
is definitely a comedy, by the way.
Like, it made it seem more of like an adventure. You know what I mean? Like a drama.
Yeah, but it's like a comedy. Also, I mean, Indiana Jones, right? There's so many issues with Indiana Jones. And I mean, like, that's how movies work, right? We have to suspend, again, our disbelief for certain things to work. And I feel like in those movies, they don't, and this is what Harry Potter doesn't do. They don't just say, hey, listen, some of the stuff isn't going to make sense. And that's okay, right? Like they either explain everything to you to the point to where you're like, okay, like, so this happens and then, okay, but then when this occurs, all right, so you know what I mean? You have to like keep a checklist to make sure that like these things don't happen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like, I do dislike what you're saying though. Like if they could go back in time in the third one, then they could do it and then just kill Voldemort in the same movie. That's the problem. They could go back to when Voldemort's Tom Riddle.
Well, okay, no. What I meant was that I don't know if I actually explained why they couldn't. They can only go back like a certain amount of time because that's what the thing. Yeah, they actually explained that. Yeah, no, it was like it was a necklace. It was a necklace with like it was a necklace with a hourglass, and they can only go back I think a day, like 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. They at least explain that, but I mean, even still, I'm saying like anything bad happens though. Like they catch you, 24 hours is enough to change a lot.
When Dumbledore gets pushed off the top of the balcony, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just go back in time. Like, you know what I mean? Dumbledore's not.
I mean, that's the problem is that whenever you do time travel, nothing matters now. Almost, it just, you have, and the reason why I don't mind it in Superman 1, right, is because in Superman 1, he does it out of anger. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know about Superman 2. I haven't seen Superman 2. But in Superman 1, he does it out of anger because he lost Lois Lane. So he just basically starts going like as fast as he can around the world, you know? But after that point happens, you know what I mean? Like I feel like they should have definitely, and I really love Superman 1. It's actually it's in my top 100 favorite movies. I really wish though that after they had done that, they'd kind of like, you know, like, yeah, that's not going to happen again because he doesn't have that kind of strength again. That was like a really special.
They have to like make a reason for why that's not a possibility anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Well, because somebody had died and he had you know, released his inner strength, you know, I don't know. Something silly like that.
Something. You know what I mean? There's got to be something for why it happens. So
dude, Timeline. Go ahead.
Timeline, I loved. I love Timeline.
Timeline. I think Timeline's done by the same director who did Superman. Actually, I think it's Richard Donner.
I like how they explained it too. There's like because I like how they explained that like, hey, when you like dematerialize and then rematerialize, like, your body gets destroyed a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? They kind of explain, because remember how they said you can only go back and forth so many times because when your bones and your ligaments all get put back together and your blood vessels, everything is like a fraction of a millimeter off. It's like, and so like the more and more you do that, the more messed up you get. Like
do you remember? Have you seen Deja Vu?
Yeah, dude, I love Deja Vu.
Dude, Deja Vu is great.
That one didn't really feel like a time travel one though. That one felt more like kind of like
that's why it's no. I'm saying that's why it's so good though. I think is because it does it in such a I recommended it's so much more believable. What?
Remember, I recommended that movie to you. I'm like, you got to see it. Remember,
dude? I remember recommending you that movie because I love that movie.
I don't know. No,
dude, I'm a huge dude.
You might have.
No, I think you recommended Man on Fire, which is also the same director and Denzel. Which is another good movie, by the way.
Really awesome scene in that one. Do you remember? Have you seen that one?
Dude, of course. Come on. I just
remember the scene where. All right, spoiler for those of you who haven't seen Man on Fire, where he tries to kill himself. He puts the gun up to the head, and it's a failure to fire, which is, like I told you, super rare. Like, I only saw it. I didn't even have one with my gun. I saw it with someone else's gun once. So it's like of thousands of bullets that I've seen fired on the range, by the way, and only one out of anyone I've ever met has ever had that happen. It's crazy. Like, because it's so hard to hit the primer and to not like ignite to not like have it go through.
Yeah. Dude, what if in the movie, like they shoot it and then like, you know, he does it, right? And it just goes off and they're like, oh, okay, well, all right guys, cut. He's just like splattered. All right, we bring in second Denzel.
There's just a stack of dead Denzel doubles. They're all like wearing the same shirt and pants. Like they're all in the burn pit. You know what I mean? It's just all of the stunt doubles that had to do that scene.
They have to keep going till they get failure to fire.
All right, guys, come on, dude. It would literally take 1,000. Like you might shoot thousands of bullets and not have it happen once.
Dude, that's crazy.
Because it really means that there's something wrong with your firing pin. And but I liked that scene when he calls Christopher Walken, and Christopher Walken like trying to make him feel better, and he's like, "Sorry to wake you up." And Christopher Walken's like, "No, I was watching TV," but he wasn't. Like he was sleeping in bed. But like, I don't know. There's something about like subtle. Isn't it funny how like when characters in a movie will have such a subtle interaction where you're like, that's perfect. Like they like you know what I mean? They just got it,
dude.
Like, don't you love that?
Dude.
Like the scene in you remember the scene in, you ever see Crazy Stupid Love?
Yeah, with Steve Carell.
Remember the scene where he calls his wife and he's in his ex-wife's backyard because they're in the process of getting divorced.
Yeah.
And she called him, like pretended like she wanted to call him just to fix the hot water heater, but he was looking at the window right at her, saying that she wasn't at the hot water heater. And he's like, "All right, so you go down and you get the lever," and then he's on the phone and she's like, "All right, I'm in front of the heater. What do you want to do again?" But she's just standing in her living room because she wanted to hear his voice. And I thought that was a really, really nice scene, but it was like, I don't know. I think other people might have glossed over that scene.
No, scenes like that are great. How many times have I told you about the City Light scene where Charlie Chaplin like no, is it Charlie Chaplin or is it the other guy? Yeah, no, it's right. Charlie Chaplin like bumps into somebody, right? And he like starts to apologize, and then his friend sees that he bumped into that guy, and his friend like starts getting up in that dude's face and like, let's go. You want to get up, you want to get upset at my friend? Like, let's go. And I loved how like he didn't even ask what was going on. Like he just turned around and he immediately like jumped on the defense of his friend, like back up, like let's go, And I just love little things like that where like, I don't know, where people don't even, they just do, where like you can tell like they're really good friends. Like I love, I think my favorite movie for friendship, I think I told you this, was Point Break. Although I do think RRR is definitely like a close second.
RRR, in my opinion, is the best friendship movie ever made. Did you get that text I sent you? It's officially my fourth favorite movie of all time.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's so cool.
I've literally been thinking about it since I watched it like a few months ago. I watched it like 3 months ago. I'm still thinking of it.
Dude, it is so freaking, it's so good. And what I love about both those movies is that they have this kind of like, they have a friendship in both those movies. They have a friendship that like they don't have to say words. They just look at each other and they just know. You know what I mean? In both those movies, they just know. You know what I mean? And I think it's so scene, like, yeah. They're like,
you know, and they just know what the other one's saying, which is very complicated. They had a very complicated stunt, and then I was listening to this guy do a review of it, and he was like, you know what? It's not realistic. Like it is not, and it's so fantastical and amazing that no one cares. No one cares, and not only does no one care, he's like, if this was an American film, there would have been someone that made some sort of quip about how crazy everything was. Like, oh man, isn't it crazy that we can fly through the air? Like, you know what I mean? But they didn't even feel the need to do that. I actually kind of like that. They didn't feel the need to like be self-aware. You know? No,
that's what I told you, dude. I loved about the movie was that it was so earnest. It's not okay, here's the thing. It's not that they are so fantastical. It's not that it's that it's so crazy. And at no point are they ever like, man, isn't this crazy? Like they never, he just sings. Like it wasn't weird that he sang a song while being whipped. Like that was just something.
It worked. The song worked. That's the crazy part. You thought like it's not going to work. Like, all right, come on, dude. Like if I was like if I was talking to the director, I'd be like, you can't do that there. Like you can't have him sing while he's being whipped. That's not going to work. Yeah. Like, and it worked. It worked. It worked
so good, dude. It literally was so, dude, it was so cool to see it in theaters. Dude, awesome. Is it showing anywhere near you, by the way?
I should just break down and just see it in theaters. Kaylee doesn't want to. She hates dubbed or subbed films. She's not a fan.
Really? Dude, honestly, a lot of it's in English though. Like a lot of, like I would say at least, and most of the action is just action. You know
there's
what I mean?
Not a lot of English-speaking characters. I mean, there's like 3 white people that are in the movie.
Yeah, well, what I mean is that there's enough. Yeah.
Girl.
There's enough English. I mean, though, like to where like I really didn't feel like I was doing it. And there's enough action to where like you're not just reading like walls and walls of dialogue.
Well, no, it's definitely not dialogue heavy. I would agree.
It's not. It's not a chance. Yeah.
I haven't seen it subbed yet. I've only seen it once dubbed. I love the dubbed version. So
it's not like it's like freaking what was it? Oh, it's not like a Tarantino film. You know what I mean? Where you have to read nothing but just dialogue.
Another beef I have with subs is that it takes away from the art of the visual art of the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you can appreciate too. Like, you know, in the middle of the beautiful jungle in India,
Absolutely.
you see like the black words come up.
Yeah, I think both. I think both would be preferred. Like I like that's why I buy DVDs, because they have both subbed and dubbed most of the time. And I think both. I think just having both. That's how I feel. It's not that hard to do. You already have one. You know what I mean? If it's a big enough movie, you're probably gonna have the other anyways. It's just nice. You know what I mean, to have both options.
I really want to see Seven Samurai, because that's been called like one of the greatest foreign films of all time. I want
that's
to
not
so
going to
bad.
be dubbed. Can you find it even dubbed? I don't know if that's dubbed.
To be honest, with how iconic it is now, I kept waiting for a dubbed version to come out, and I'm like, wait, this came out like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I should stop waiting to watch it.
Well, I just don't think. Yeah, that's one of those movies where I can't imagine, because again, like you said, it's so old at this point.
So iconic.
It's so, like, I just could not imagine a dub version. I actually own that one on DVD, but and I haven't seen it. It's just 3 hours. It's just 3 hours long, and it's like that's why it took me so long to watch RRR, because it was like I really want to see it.
Evening,
yeah,
you know?
But and especially because of movies like that, I just want to. Dude, if it's a long movie, here's the thing. I honestly believe, to me, the greatest. That's why my top. Two favorite movies, right? The Godfather series. All movies are 3 hours long, or at least like two and a half plus, I think. And then my second favorite is 3 hours long. I mean, that's why to me, those will always be the greatest movies. I'm not saying
that's when it becomes an epic, what they call an epic.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people call RRRs. It's a historical epic.
Yeah,
which the word epic refers to a long piece of art, like an epic poem is like a huge poem. You know, an epic movie is a huge,
and that's what I mean. To me, that's why also, like, as much as I love Death Proof, I don't know. I think at some point I'm going to cave in and I'm going to say Once Upon a Time in America, or in Hollywood, is my favorite Tarantino, because it just fits.
What's the runtime of that?
Like 3 something. I want to say 3:13.
That one didn't feel very long. They did a good job of not making it feel like it dragged.
I just have no idea. Like, here's the problem. Because I see movies like that, I just don't. I mean, to me, here's what's funny. Right now, everybody wants to be the 3 hour movie. Like Marvel, all their movies are like 2.5 plus right now. And it's funny because I don't think movies should be that long. I think that the reason why I love movies that are that long, and the reason why those happen to be my favorite, is because they're so special. You know what I mean? Like that is like a special thing. You earn.
Well, it's very difficult. I've told people it's very, very, very difficult to make a good 3 hour movie. Because I mean, there's always going to be a part of the audience and a part of you as a director, as a filmmaker, that's going to be like, could we trim 30 minutes off of this? Would it still be good?
Yeah.
Like, do we need this extra 30 minutes in it? Like, you know what I mean? Because there's plenty of movies I've seen that are 3 hours long. I've seen Magnolia, which is 3 hours long. Easily could have cut an hour of that film out. There was a lot of filler in that film.
Yeah.
It almost felt like they wanted to make it 3 hours, regardless.
I haven't seen it. And I just feel like, to me, I feel like, here's the thing. It just doesn't, like you said, these stories don't demand 3 hours. Like, so quit making them 3 hours long. And I'm not saying that as somebody who doesn't like 3 hour movies. I'm saying that as somebody who like, when I see a 3 hour movie, I want it to be like whenever we were talking about
Ben-Hur is a good 3 hour.
Yeah.
3 hour movie.
Well, Godfather, right? Like Godfather, even if you don't love Godfather like I do, I think everybody could admit it's doing what it needs to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's beginning to end. It's not, it may be slow and stuff, but it's one of those movies I think that everybody can really appreciate, at least, you know, and say, hey, this is, you know.
Movies like Lord of the Rings that tell like an epic story of like the end of a nation. You know what I mean? Like, or Ben-Hur, which tells like the epic story of a man that was like born into wealth and fell into slavery and then like got it all back. Like the huge sweeping ancient Rome, and like there's so many different ones I could think of. Like 10 Commandments of Charlton Heston, 3 hours long. Yeah. Like they literally showed like the escape and the exile of a nation. Like that's a huge.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I just like, people don't. I don't think. Here's the thing: Tarantino didn't start out making 3 hour movies. He made, what has he made? Reservoir Dogs, which is a really good freaking film. I love Reservoir Dogs.
Jackie Brown.
Yeah, right. Like he started off Pulp Fiction, which was 2. I think it actually might have been 2.5, like 2:30, I think. But I just feel like what I'm saying is you don't just start off making these 3 hour movies. And some directors, I think, just like now, they're like, that's what they want. They want to make those big epics, and it's like, dude, you have to learn how to tell a story first. You know, and that's the thing. People don't appreciate either like hour and a half movies anymore. Like we have this like
I love
this
90
weird
minutes. 90-minute
I think
films.
90
I love
minutes
90-minute comedies.
To me,
I love
90-minute movie, like a 90-minute movie is perfect. I think that's okay. Like
comedy and romance are perfect for 90 minutes.
If we're talking about like a movie, and I want to clarify, whenever I think of a movie, if I'm talking about entertainment, an hour and a half is like just, I mean, perfect. You know what I mean? Like it is just the perfect size. It's like, I don't know. It's so good.
There's plenty of movies that are an hour and a half long that would just be wrecked if you made it a 3-hour movie. If you made Anchorman a 3-hour movie, it would not be half as good.
No, it wouldn't have. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. No, dude, and that's what I'm saying is like at 3 hours, dude, and that's why I love 3-hour movies because they're so special though, you know? And then like, and that's, people are getting really greedy with time.
I get what you mean. It's kind of like if you show up to a wedding and you find out you're a groomsman and you're happy, but then you find out there's 40 groomsmen and you're like, oh, I guess I'm not one of the 6 best friends. I'm one of the 40 best friends. And it's like, it's cool to have there only be like maybe 10% of every movie ever made to be 3 hours long, maybe even less. Well,
and I just mean, let's keep it special, you know? And the thing is, I feel like also we're missing out on that, like, dude, like genre pieces. Everybody, whenever people make movies now, they always have to make like the next great epic. Like, dude, I'm sorry, but like Reservoir Dogs, again, let's just bring up Reservoir Dogs or even like other movies that are genre pieces. Reservoir Dogs to me is a great movie. And it's on my top 250 favorite movies. Like it definitely 100% is. It will be if it isn't yet. Cause I'm making the list as I go. But what I'm saying is that like those movies are so good and people always act like they're not, but I'm like, they're good because they know what they are and they achieve that. Like when I watched Cocaine Bear wasn't the best movie. Yeah. It wasn't the best movie in the world, but Cocaine Bear at least knew what it was. Like it knew what people were coming there for. Right. Like, and I can appreciate that.
Hopped up on cocaine.
On cocaine. Right. Like, and sometimes they're going like they kind of didn't necessarily deliver the goods completely. Right, like the whole time, but I think they did enough of a good job to where I'm like, yeah, you know, like it's definitely what it is, right? Like Cocaine Bear, a bear high on cocaine, it delivered that. I'm happy. You know what I mean? And that's what I always tell people when I judge a movie, it's not based off on necessarily what I want from it as much as it is what the movie told me it was going to give me. If I go to a movie and it says, it says, hey, there's a serial killer on the run, and it's about it's a romantic comedy about 2 people just having fun, and there's never a serial killer in it, I'm gonna be kind of upset. You know what I mean? Like that's not, I don't know. Like
that's my only beef with Saw. My only beef with Saw, or not Saw, sorry. Signs. I get Signs.
Signs. Yeah.
So my only beef with Signs, I like how they did it. I like how M. Night Shyamalan directed the movie. My beef is that I understand, right? I understand that there's a lot of cool like mystery in like barely being able to see like glimpses of an alien, right? I get that. Yeah. I get like making it mysterious. But when the actual climactic fight between what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix and the alien are happening, and you want me to look at a freaking drinking glass to get the reflection of the drinking glass of the climactic fight that everyone's waiting for 2 hours? Like, screw you, dude. That's 2 hours of my life I'd never get back. Like, I don't know how you felt.
Okay, so I actually really like that movie. Here's actually the bigger problem I have with that movie. They do this. They have this thing in the movie where the kid says, "Oh, look, if we defeat the alien right now, then he'll just come back 200 years from now." Right? And I've always told people, I saw the movie the first time I saw it. After the end happened, I was like, "Oh, is there like, are we going to watch a second one? Like what?" You know? And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, he said in 200 years the alien's going to come back." Right? And they never
explained that. Yeah.
But I'm always like, because here's the thing, he set that up. He didn't have to put that in the movie. Again, we talked about this. You set up your own expectations in movies. If you tell me the alien's going to come back in 200 years, that better pay off. And I love Shyamalan. First time, I would defend Shyamalan to anybody. He was one of my favorite directors.
It's probably a deleted scene. There's a deleted scene where they explain that, and then it's.
I just mean, I'm so upset. I'm like, dude, you set that up. Like, why are the aliens not coming back 200 years from now? And I get oh, well, that's just they're going to be long dead by then, those characters. And I'm like, I didn't care. They said something they didn't need to say. They told me that the aliens were going to come back. We didn't just win. We still have to wait for another battle.
But did the drinking glass bother you? That had to bother you. You didn't get to see the fight.
I think to me, okay, so first off, I want to point out, because I haven't seen it in a while, right? So I don't specifically recall. I do know what you're talking about though. Because I remember what happens, the story.
They don't show the actual fight. They show a small 5-second clip of the drinking glass showing a reflection of the fight.
Here's what I think happened, right? Is that Shyamalan was saying, hey, look, the drinking glass, right? He's showing it to show you that it's going to be the thing that wins the fight, right? Because that's what ends up happening.
Because he breaks the bat on the alien's head.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I could see why that would be upset. I always tell people, and this is like funny. I always tell people that like, oh, like how do you make, how do I know how to make movies? Right? What's the big thing, right? And I think, well, like whenever you look at like say sports, right? Say somebody's like running the basketball, right? Like they're playing basketball and they're like dribbling and they're going up for a shot. In real life, when we watch that, we're not looking at anything other than the person taking the shot. We're not cutting 20 times. We're not cutting 40 times. We're not showing it in slow motion. Afterwards we are, but in real time, we were watching it in real time because that's how we process real life. You know what I mean? In real time. So whenever I think about a fight, that's why I love one takes of a fight. So I love John Wick because I think that that's how those things should happen. Now I get it if you want to have like a little bit of slow-mo, like Zack Snyder does some really good slow-mo every now and then to, emphasize like the pullback and then punch.
Does that bother you?
No. I like that. But what I'm saying is what I really hate is like whenever you do a billion different cuts and it gets really like I like Michael Bay sometimes, but Michael Bay can really get on my nerves sometimes where I'm like, I'm not following what's going on. And we talked about this where you don't know which punch is going on. And all of a sudden, like you see in like the guy won and you're like, I don't even know what happened.
If I can count the hairs on the knuckle making the fist, it's too close. Okay. Like they did that in Mortal Kombat, in the Mortal Kombat movie they came out with recently. They had these epic, sprawling fights, but I couldn't see them because it was literally close up to where the camera would only see a shoulder and like that, and that's all they'd see. And then cut to like a guy's face, like the side of a guy's face, you couldn't even see who it was. Just, and I was like,
yeah,
what's happening? What's happening? And then like everyone's dead at the end of the fight, and I'm like, all right, well, thanks for wasting like 6 minutes of my time. Like, I want to see it. Like, let's see it.
Here's the thing. I just hate directors who shoot fights like that because it takes away so much of the part that I like about the fighting. Like whenever you watch UFC, what do you see? You two dudes in a freaking ring going
there's no close cut shots on that at all. Everyone wants to see it.
And I feel like the thing is, I'm not saying you can't do like close and then again go to wide and like you can't play around with it. But I'm saying like show us the goods. Like that's all I want. I want to see the goods because even in RRR, which I think was extremely cut heavy, again they showed you the goods though. They showed the guy like everything. Flipping around the bike, you know what I mean, and then just like They showed you what you wanted to see. They weren't playing around, and I don't know. That's what you need from a movie.
By the way, does RRR make your top 100?
Yeah, dude. Of course. Are you joking?
Does it make your
top?
You knew
it 50? Did, right? Okay, it's close. It's really close. It's really close for me. Yeah, it's really close. It's really close.
For me, I loved it so much.
No. I did. You know what's funny? I really want to see it again. Like I already want to see it again.
Is it your favorite Indian film? Film from
dude.
India?
Of course. Yeah.
Dude, do you know? I was hearing this one guy who was saying that there's actually a big distinction between Bollywood films and Tollywood films. They call Tollywood.
Yeah. That's a Tollywood.
I didn't know that was a
film.
thing because that's a Tollywood film because it's Telugu is the language that they speak. Which I also didn't know how linguistic that's the right word for it, but for India is.
Yeah.
You know that on their dollar bill, they have the top 22 languages of India listed in the language. Like for English, they would put English and then the word English, and then they would put Telugu in Telugu. Like, you know what I mean? They have that top 22 on every dollar bill.
Wow.
So it says 5 rupees in Telugu, 5 rupees in something else, 5 rupees in, you know what I mean? Isn't that crazy, how multicultural India is? Like,
yeah.
Telugu is like top 2 though, in terms of like how popular language is.
It's
Telugu and then the one that the Bollywood speaks, which is like
Hindu?
Pashto or something.
Is it Pashto? I thought it was Hindu. Is it not? Is Hindu not?
Hindu's I don't know if that's a language. I think that's
I was about to say that. I don't think that's a language.
I think Hindi might be a language.
Hindi. That's what I said, Hindi, but I think Hindu is a person in Hindi.
But I've heard RRR called a Hindi film. I don't know if it is though.
That's so, yeah. Well, it's also weird though that a country like India could be so massive and not have a universal like language that they all agree to. Like, say what you want about America, but like America doesn't have like an official language. But I mean, like, it does. Like, I'm saying legal. Like, it doesn't though. Like, no, I'm saying it doesn't. Like, you can look it up. Like, it doesn't actually.
Language?
So I'm saying countries
has said.
Yeah, like it has to be officiated by the government. Like the government will come out and say this is the official language of this country, right? Do you get what I'm saying? So like everything will be in this language. But in America, that's not the case. But it is clearly English, right? Like there's no debating that. You know what I mean?
Well, because predominantly English people settled it, and then the Native Americans all died of disease. So, and then they weren't even speaking their own.
Well, not all of them.
unified
Not
language.
all of them. I love how you're like all of them just died.
Dude, like 99%
no.
of them. You know
Well, no,
what
I mean, yeah, but I mean, there's still some around. But yeah, I do think the one thing, really cool thing about America is that because it's so based off of the consumer, English would have to be the official language anyways. And like even now, like so we're so far into our history, it's not going to go away because other countries have already learned English. So like
England,
just to communicate with
English,
us.
England,
What do you say?
English and Spanish are the languages of the world because those are the two countries that settled the majority of lands all across the world. I mean, there's so many countries that speak them. Portugal got Brazil, which is a big one to get for Portuguese.
Oh.
Which, more Brazilians speak Portuguese than Portuguese people.
Yeah.
Because there's so many of them.
That's so weird too because like all of Latin America is like
All
Spanish
except for Brazil.
except for Brazil.
To be honest,
Which is-
Spain kind of like went on a tear if you think about it. Imagine that. They got pretty much everything from Mexico down, except for Brazil. They got like they got Dominican Republic speak Spanish. They got like everywhere except for like the two biggest ones. Like England's like, we'll just take Canada and America, the two like largest swaths of land, which is so funny. But I'm trying to think. Oh, they also got Australia. But
Well, you forget the French also went on a tear, even though the French don't have like a lot of.
tear. They did a big
French-
Africa tear because there's tons of countries in Africa that speak French.
Well,
to
they
this
also
day.
own a decent percentage of America. We just happen to buy it from them. Do you remember that?
Well,
That's
they
what
did, yeah, and then we got.
Yeah, we bought
they
it from,
They didn't like send people here as much. They sent people to like New Orleans, like Louisiana.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Dude, that's probably why they have such good food. Dude, here's the thing: French food. Everybody who's ever been like, I feel like a French chef that I've seen has always been extremely overweight, and I'm always like, that's a good sign.
I'm trying to think of French. So, all right. So here's a few things I know in my French cuisine knowledge. I used to valet for a French restaurant that no longer exists in Chicago called La Sardine. Was actually owned by a 27-year-old, which is kind of crazy.
Dude, wait, did you not get a name tag for that? Because when you gave us your name tag collection, we didn't get to see that one.
I didn't get a name tag for being a valet. No.
Dang.
I got a shirt. I got a hat. And I have a shirt. But
dude, didn't you say you guys had to like stand there with like your shoulders out? Like you were
So so I looked up a few things on like how not to get mugged in Chicago. And the biggest thing they said is look intimidating. Look intimidating, look like you're walking with a purpose. Say people who walk with dogs get mugged a lot because they look like they're not like ready to fight. You know what I mean? Like you're walking your pit bull down the street or something. But yeah, French cuisine, I know they have French baguettes. They're big on like French baguettes, which I hate because I don't like crunchy bread. And then they're big on.
I love crunchy bread.
They're big on crepes, which I do like crepes.
Crepes are delicious.
Other than that, I really can't name a single other French food. Like, what other French foods are there? Is escargot French?
I can't remember. Honestly, with French food, here's the thing about French food. I know the taste more than the actual like foods, if that makes sense. Like whenever I think of French food,
put in your mouth?
No, I do, but like the way that they cook an egg. Do you get what I'm saying? Like an egg, like egg Benedict, right? Isn't French, obviously. But what I'm saying is that I'm saying the style that they cook an egg. I can't tell you the style they cook an egg with, but I know when it's a French egg versus like a normal egg. If that makes sense.
You know, the English have this thing called a Scotch egg, and it's where they hard boil an egg.
Yeah, dude.
They peel it. They cover it in meat and cheese and breading, and you eat it like a hot pocket. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I've never had it, but I wanted to.
I've actually never heard of that. Dude, have you ever had a soft boiled like egg? Those are dude. I've always wanted.
Those are the worst.
Really?
Dude, those are the worst. Hard boiled eggs are way better. So I've had a soft boiled egg on accident because I didn't boil it all the way. But a soft boiled egg sucks, dude. You don't want to eat you don't want to have like a almost raw yolk inside of a.
I love, dude. First off, I love yolk. You may not. Are you a big yolk guy?
I'm not a big yoker.
A yolkster? You're not a big yolkster?
I'm not a big yolkster. No. But I don't know. I like hard-boiled eggs, but it is difficult to make sometimes because you never know how hard it needs to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. So I looked up French cuisine, because we were just talking about it, and like legit, dude, all the stuff on here is just, again, like I was saying, like just different ways to make
and bread.
Well, no,
I feel like
no,
lots
no.
of
It's
bread.
just it's pastas and stuff. Like it's just different ways. They have like madeleine, obviously. It's just different ways to make.
Macaroons aren't macaroons French? I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember. But either way, like for instance, it's just like meunier, right? It's just a picture of like a salmon. You know what I mean? Like the way they cook a certain fish. You know what I mean? Like
so
you know
it's
what I'm
like
saying?
something that could be very universal, like a steak or something like that.
Yeah,
You
like
know what I mean?
well, yeah, but they don't have any steaks. It's usually fish based and a lot of pasta based. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Really, like a lot of cream based. And that's what I meant though. Is that like
That's weird. Though,
It's-
because only a little bit of their country has coastline. You know, most of the country is inland, very much inland.
Well, I don't think they ever had any cows though. Like I don't think I've ever seen them make any kind of steak. Maybe beef.
They have
Yeah, they
dairy
probably have
farmers.
beef. They have
You've
beef.
seen
They
Inglourious
have beef.
Bastards.
They definitely have beef. But I meant like I've never seen a steak. I think that's like I don't know.
You mean maybe they just use the meat differently? Maybe they should eat
Yeah.
meatballs and stuff? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, or they could even just make like they could slice it differently. Like I'm saying, I've never seen a French like full on just like T-bone.
They could just do roast beef or pot roast or something else other
Yeah,
than steaks. Which
yeah.
steak seems to be the logical. That's the simplest way to eat cow. Is just
Dude.
cut a slab of meat off of the
Steak
animal
is
and
so
put it on the grill.
good. Steak is like top dog.
I'm not one of those people. I've met so many people. Steak
Yeah.
is their favorite meal ever, and I don't get it because for me, I want a burger. I want something with multiple different flavors going on at the same time.
No, I get that. I think what I like about steak though is that steak is like if let me put it this way. If you like the beef on a patty, right? Like in the meat in a hamburger, then like steak's like the purest form of that. You know what I mean? Like steak's like the most like you know what I mean? It's like
ground
monster.
beef is definitely missing something compared to like others. By the way, I think I'm gonna start making my perfect burger recipe. I'm gonna start perfecting it because I want to get to a point where I have a burger recipe that is so good that I could take it to someone else and they would actually like start a restaurant off of my burger recipe.
Dude, we should try that though. We should. Okay, what do you have for the bun? We've talked about the bun. You got to get what little chevals.
So I've taught small chevals. Small cheval has the best bun I've ever had on a burger, which is crazy. If you know me, that's like a crazy thing to say because I've had maybe 10,000 burgers in my life, maybe more. I mean, So like, it's the best bun I've ever had. I think that you need to have a dinner roll recipe, like a roll recipe, a soft. I don't know. It depends on what you like because the thing is that my perfect burger might be different from your perfect burger.
Yeah.
So, because I know you go heavy on ingredients, but for me, I like a pillow bun. I like a bun that you bite into, and you just get pockets of air and like buttery goodness. That's what I love. So I'm thinking a really good bun would be the crescent roll dough from Pillsbury. Dude, if you took some of that crescent roll Pillsbury dough, you rolled it out into the shape of a... Dude, it's so good. When's the last time you had a crescent roll from the tube? Have you ever had those?
I have,
so
but
good.
like it's been since I was a kid.
Can you imagine though having that with like some butter, a paintbrush, a butter brush on top?
Dude, wait, hold up, dude. You know the cinnamon rolls from the tube? Those are always so good too.
Those are good too. Those are really good. See,
what is it about the
recipe
tube?
also
Something
good.
about the tube. Something about the tube. It just makes it better.
They should make it a syringe. I would use that. No, I'm just joking.
Just shoot it right into your veins and just pure icing.
I know, right? Another thing that I want to invent, which if you're listening, please don't steal this idea, but is the idea of being the first guy to do pan-fried burgers. No one does pan-fried burgers. It was like a method that was like done in like the 20s and 30s that no one does anymore because it's like...
Well, so then somebody has done it. They can't really steal it from you because somebody has done it.
I mean, I guess so. But it was like no one... All right, so the idea of pan-fried burgers, which is started in like 1920s, 30s America, is that you take a burger, and you take raw beef. You take beef that has never been frozen. That's a big thing. Never frozen beef, grade A. And you cook it in tallow, which is beef fat, which is what they used to use. That's how they made the original burgers. They would scrape all of the grease off of the grill for making steaks and making other things. And then they would cook the beef in that. And that's what made it so good.
Heart attack?
It would be the clogger. Burger? It would be the clogger. But like in Krusty the Clown.
The clogger, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I read Krusty Burger. That was so funny.
That was so funny. So yeah, it would be something like that. But dude, the beef would taste so good. I would make it thin, but not steak burger thin, but not a little bit thinner than a Wendy's patty, because Wendy's patty is
like kind of like Whataburger, right?
Yeah, that has a good thickness. Whataburger is a good.
Dude,
thickness.
also I think Five Guys has a really good thickness too. I think
Five Guys has a lot of thing right, except for their price, which I'll talk about.
Yeah.
I could talk about that for 3 hours. But like, so another thing is American cheese. So the guy who invented Kraft invented American cheese. The idea of American cheese did not exist until like the 1930s, because it was just the cheeses that came from Italy. They named all cheeses: mozzarella, Parmesan, stuff like that, like ricotta.
Parmigiano,
like Havarti, stuff like that. Yeah. I would create an American cheese, which American cheese, in its true definition, is a processed form of multiple cheeses mixed together. That's what American cheese is. It's a conglomerate of cheeses mixed together. So I would take my favorite cheeses. I would take 3. I wouldn't want to overload the flavor. I would take 3 different cheeses of different consistency, texture, and taste, and I would mix them together. But I would mix them together in a wheel, and then I'd cut it from the wheel, and I'd put that on there. I would make it not as oily as cheddar, because I've had cheddar on a burger, and it doesn't taste that good. But I'd want it to be like melty. Like American cheese is always meltier than.
Oh, it's like Swiss. I think it's a Swiss in it, right?
Yeah, it's got some Swiss in there. So I would want a few different things in there. I wouldn't mind Havarti on there, if I'm being honest.
Dude, what was that one cheese we had at the cheese place? That cheese was so good. Do you remember that?
Could have been pepper jack. I don't know.
No. You weren't. Dude, by the way, it was when we went to Lambert's. We had that cheese. Do you remember that, dude? It was like aged.
It was the store right next to the Lambert's.
Yeah. It was 7-year aged. It was aged 7 years. God, dude. Colby's good. God, man,
I can't remember
what was it? It was something good though.
It was really good. The fact that we could try that for free is a crime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were.
Dude, we had a whole block of cheese, or at least I had a whole block of cheese in the toilet bowl.
I probably had a 4-inch by 2-inch block. That's probably how much I was like I ate, but we ate by the time we were done, and we did not buy a single thing. We, looking back on it, we should have bought one thing out of like courtesy. We didn't buy anything, and that was just a warm up for our Lambert's meal, which is crazy.
That was crazy, dude. I can't even believe looking back, dude, she was old. I don't even know she knew what we did. We just robbed her blind. We really did.
Yeah.
We robbed her of her free samples. What's funny is there were so many of them, though. I don't feel that bad because the cheese might have gone bad if she had left, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Those are her daily samples. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel you. Do we want to move into hidden gems?
Yeah, for sure. Was that the timer for it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to spend too much time.
No, it's all good, man. I mean, hey, listen, our podcast listeners will remember this, Ethan, forever now.
They'll remember who the real fans are.
They'll remember who doesn't want to talk to them. No, but I'm just
so I actually just watched the 2011 The Thing. I love it.
What'd you think? Yeah,
I loved it. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it. I loved that guy is the same guy that was in Warriors, same guy that was in a bunch of stuff.
I can't remember.
Let me look up that guy's name real quick because it's going to bother me.
Have you seen the 1982 version?
So I've seen the 82 and the 1954 version as well.
Which one's your favorite?
So the original one is called The Thing from Another World, and the 1982 is just The Thing. And this. I probably liked the 82 one by John Carpenter. So Joel Edgerton, he was in it, which was great.
Yeah, Joel Edgerton. Yeah.
I love anything that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in. I'm gonna watch. I love it. So it was a great movie. A lot of great action. A lot of great. My only beef with it is in 1982 they made it where like an alien would eat someone and then take on their essence and then become them, and then you wouldn't know who it was. Whereas in the 2011 one, it was like it would eat someone and it would just become a more disgusting, more gross-looking monster with like their face a part of it.
I see,
which is like
the reason
I don't like that as much.
Yeah, the reason why I like the 82 one so much is because of what you just said. Like, it adds so much more intensity. Like, there are ideas out there that are so good, like that one, and then another one that nobody's been using very well, but could be used like extremely well is Invisible Aliens. Like, dude,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying those are good, but what I meant was like, no, I'm saying like modern, like more modern films. Like they have like Darkest Hour, which was also there's another movie called Darkest Hour about Winston Churchill. But the one about aliens is like there's these invisible aliens that come down, and I'm saying I haven't seen it being used like really that effectively. And I've always thought, God, man, you could make like a really great movie like that. And I know Invasion of the Body Snatchers, obviously, but I mean like with modern technology and stuff.
Yeah,
like we could really have fun with it. You know what I mean? Kind of like we saw a little bit in The Invisible Man, the new one. Have you seen that one? Where
it was so good. I could not believe how
dude.
good it was. Like,
dude, that one was really good.
It makes me never want to see any of the old Invisible Mans, like because of how good it was. It's like it's like 2005 King Kong. Watching that one first,
yeah.
Like, can we just burn every copy of the old ones? It's so good. Because the 1976 one was really bad. What is it? So they did do a little bit of the 1982 thing where it was like a person and you couldn't tell if it was the alien or not.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it as much. They did it like once or twice. Like it wasn't like the whole movie because at the end, spoiler, of the 1982 one, they show like Kurt Russell and like the whole place is like burned down. He's got a shotgun pointed at the one guy, and the other guy's got a shotgun pointed at him. Like they don't know if the other guy is the thing or not. You know what I mean?
And he's just drinking his whiskey, and he's like, "Yeah, we're going to be sitting here all night."
Yeah, and it's like that's a great way to end it. You know, whereas the thing was in 2011. I don't know. I didn't have as satisfying of an end. I had a similar end, but not as satisfying.
Well, Something to Fall Off is such a great movie.
What was your hidden gem?
My hidden gem, I was thinking about this the whole time. I always think about it. I'm like, oh man, what do I pick? I would say, have you seen Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone?
I love Demolition Man. I don't know if that's a hidden gem, though.
I feel like that's a really unpopular Stallone.
It's one of his lesser known ones, but it's still great.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Okay, let's pick a different one, though. I mean, that's fine. I'm a big fan of... have you heard of Primal Fear?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I've seen it. Is that Sharon Stone?
No, I don't think so. No, you're thinking of Basic Instinct, I think.
Basic Instinct, yeah.
But Primal Fear, though, no, it has Edward Norton in it. It's what made Edward Norton famous.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, really good role.
What's
back
it
in
about?
the day, it's about this guy who, so it's about this lawyer, actually. It's Richard Gere is the star. Richard Gere is this lawyer who's, defending this guy who committed murder, which is Edward Norton. But, he has, split personality. And it's really good. And it's really good. He does a really good job.
You don't even have to tell me anything else. I might just see it just because of that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's really good in it.
I do hate it when people with split personality disorder can say, oh, I have split personality. I can just change to whoever I want. I'm like, I'm Fred now. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, dude. All right, come on.
Dude, here's the thing.
You know what I mean?
I like it in movies as a trope. You know, I love it in movies, actually. I love it in movies.
It's so hard for me to believe it in real life. Yeah.
Yeah. In real life, I'm always like, I don't know. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm just saying I don't. It
looks like you're lying.
Yeah.
It looks like you're lying.
It's kind of like if somebody's like, look, I can fly, and I see them fly in a video. I'm like, okay, you might fly, but also we have CGI. We have a lot of technology now that
it's like the guy who has the 100 orgasms a day guy who even the therapist is like, come on, dude. You can't hold it together. All right, we've been in here for 2 minutes. You know what I mean? When it's hilarious because it's uncontrollable, but people are still like, dude, really?
Dude, her look on her face was like, okay, we're gonna be here for a while. She looked at her phone.
She was still upset. The air filled up the room after she exhaled. She's like, all right.
Did she look at the camera? Did she even look at the camera? Are you guys getting this?
Oh yeah. Come on. Can you believe this, dude? Can you believe what I have to deal with every day?
He said that, and she was like,
he did make it way more sexual than the girl. The girl had the same thing, and she kept it way more under control. I felt
he would just
he would do moans after.
He would just get into it a little too much. I think.
He would.
And I'm not saying
he doesn't enjoy it, but I don't believe it.
I'm not saying that he was faking it, but I'm saying maybe if he normally would have gone he he put a little bass to it, he amplified it a bit much.
There's something more unsettling about a middle-aged man doing it than a cute 20-something-year-old girl. You know what I mean? Then it's
dude,
okay.
No, dude,
seriously, it would be way worse for women. It's only
Dude, didn't he say?
It's only, for
No, I
the
don't
girl,
think so.
it's only like a little bit of vibration. That was it.
I feel like
that's all that took.
I feel like for the guy it would be significantly worse because also, dude, he talked about how like he couldn't go to parks. Do you know that? He said he couldn't be around kids for too long.
Oh yeah, people creep out on you way more if you're a guy than because if it's a girl and it's happening.
Dude,
you get away
imagine.
with
Oh,
more.
just imagine if you had a kid and you saw that guy like sitting on the bench, you know, making sounds like that. You'd be like, dude, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing over here?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Why are you near my child? You know what I mean? I'm not a.
All right, that's it. That's it. You like punch
All right,
him.
dude,
you
wanna
punch
go?
him. You punch him. You punch him, and then he's mid orgasm. Okay, dude. I
set
can't.
me off, I don't know. Yeah, like you can't fight him because he enjoys it a little bit too much. You're like, all right, dude, come on. Like,
Okay,
you know,
dude. Like, please, dude, can you please stop? Like my kids are over there, and this is really concerning to me. That's so funny.
All right. Any
Oh,
final
man.
thoughts for the listeners?
Yeah. Don't steal Ethan's burger idea, please. That sounds great.
Yeah, please don't. Pan fried burgers.
Dude, you should make it for like we should have the first one. Like me, you know what I mean? You should like sit down and be like, here we go. You know what I mean? That'd be dope.
I think it's amazing. Yeah. My final thoughts are, I don't know, to watch The Thing 2011. It's a great movie. Watch anything that Mary Elizabeth Winstead has done. And yeah,
Sky High. Sky
High.
High.
Death Proof, if it's just for her, it's still cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends so that we can get 2 listeners a video. That'd be nice.
Yeah. That'd be really great. But yeah.
Thank you, Aisha, for commenting on our videos every now and
Yeah.
then. That's nice. So
Her name's Aisha, but yeah, that's cool.
Aisha, well, it's AI.
Yeah,
Sage.
it's Aisha, but it's
Okay.
all right.
Well, you should let her know. That way she can watch this one that we talked
Yeah,
about.
yeah, she'll see it right now. Yeah.
She's our
Thank you
biggest
so much,
fan.
Aisha. Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you
I'll
so
talk to
much.
you later.